Oh,
Hello, you managed to have your microphone not muted from the very get-go.
yeah. I'm not using my phone. I'm using my iPad.
That's cool. You have Zoom skills.
Oh, I'm zoomed.
Oh, you're zoomed up, yeah. It usually takes me at least 15 minutes to figure out how to put myself off mute. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Okay, thank you. Can't complain. I will complain though. I will, but not right now. Thank you very much, first of all, for doing this.
Yeah.
It should be a good bit of fun. What time is it over there? 3:30?
3:30. Yeah.
3:30. It's 9:30 here. Well past my bedtime, you know.
You're a liar.
I know. I'll put this on gallery view so it records the both of us at once. I think if I was the other one kind of switches to whoever's talking. I think it's best to have both.
Yeah, I think that works.
Yeah, it's nicer. So the viewers can see if we're jesting each other. So did you have to take today off early? Just for me?
No, I have some flexibility.
Good.
Like I have core hours that I need to work. Then I can work outside those hours.
That's cool. I have flexi time as well. So I have core hours. Like I think it's from 11 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon that I should be there, and then you can really fill in the gaps anywhere you like.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am, 10 to 3. But reality is they kind of want you there like 8 to 5 most days, but it's kind of just be consistent with whatever you're doing. So I normally work from like 7:15 till like 5:30.
Right.
And then on Thursdays and Fridays, I just leave early at the 3 o'clock or 3:30 so that I can do other stuff.
Okay. You're not working from home at the minute then?
I am every other week.
Oh, okay.
So today I was working from home.
Right. Okay, well, thanks very much anyway for doing this nice and early so that I didn't have to stay up all night. And what are you smoking? You're in your beautiful, is that a pot?
No, it's billiard.
It's billiard. It's nice.
Yeah, this is
Canadian
Martinsky billiard.
Very nice.
I think Canadians go longer with a shank.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
But I'm smoking some MacBaron Golden Extra.
Very nice. I'm smoking my Mixture 965 in a tar Dublin shape, but it's quite a nice old one. It's an estate pipe I picked off eBay. It's quite long.
Yeah, great looking pipe.
Got a big bowl. Dead cheap, about $30.
I brought another pipe just in case I get puffing too fast and I run out.
Me too. I've got the Meerschaum on standby. So we'll get this lit. My Mixture 965. It's been dried out nicely, so fairly effortless light. So COVID situation in your area, it's not nobody's on full alert then? Or is
What do you mean?
Is it mandatory to wear masks yet where you are?
Since August.
Right.
It's been mandatory in public places. I think it's been kind of waffling back and forth. We have, I think a lot of the mandatories came with Democratic governors.
Okay.
And we have a Democratic governor, but we kind of haven't had a Republican other group of people that kind of were fighting it. So for a while between May and August, we didn't have it.
It was a
But otherwise, I went.
There was no balance then. It was a dictatorship for a while.
Well, they used the guise of medical emergency to implement it, but at a certain point, they said they fought it through the courts that it wasn't a medical emergency anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then some voting happened just naturally, and there was one less Republican on the court. So then they couldn't overturn what the governor had said because they had support then. So it's just politics.
What state are you in again, Steve?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, lovely. I never really think about how actually massive America is. It's huge when you really think about it. It's absolutely huge. And Ireland and the UK and the British Isles, they often make them look quite a little bigger on the globe. But if you actually look at a view from space, we are really small. Incredible.
Yeah, you get those maps where they're like accounting for the curvature of the earth or whatever. You're like, oh, Africa is huge, but it doesn't ever look like it. And Greenland is just crazy on a normal map. And then you get the correct adjusted ones. You're like, oh, Greenland is not nearly so big.
Yeah. Okay, so mandatory question. We'll start off. Are you smoking your favorite pipe? Is that why you've chosen that one, or what is your favorite then?
Currently I have 3 Mark Tinsky pipes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first one I got, which I don't have with me, is my favorite, just because it smokes the best, but they all smoke well.
Okay.
But everything tastes the best in it. And so it's another billiard, but it's just got a real slight bend.
Okay.
And it's tapered instead of saddle bit like this one.
Rusticated as well?
No, it's actually a smooth unfinished.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the whatever those Savinelli Series 3s are, where they're unfinished and they kind of darken the more you smoke as you handle them and just wear. It's kind of fun.
The Grezza.
Sure.
Oh, there's an unfinished series as well. That's very nice. Okay, other mandatory questions then. This one then. I need your top 3 tobaccos. You were to go.
Man, I should think of this stuff. Knew this was coming.
You knew this was coming.
Well, this is tough. I think of late, I'm just figuring this all out, you know. I've been trying. I looked it up a little while ago, and I had tried 100 tobaccos this year.
That's really good going.
So
it's hard.
I'm not able to spend super significant time with all of the blends.
Yeah.
But obviously the ones I like more, I smoke more. Mm-hmm. One tin that I just absolutely loved, and I went out and bought what I could find of it, was Hearth and Home Anniversary Flake. It's a vapor.
Okay.
And I just thought it was awesome. So that one would be in there.
Okay.
I'm really enjoying the Burleys, and I don't know, right now for some reason the Amphora Burley,
the Burley blend,
I don't know, maybe the Navigator I really like right now too. So I've been smoking that a lot, so I guess I would choose the Navigator over the Amphora Burley, but they're both really close. And then for like English, my favorite would be I keep coming back to is the Peter Stokkeby English Luxury.
Okay, very nice. I still have to try that one. You recommended that one on the the Thanksgiving Day. I need to order that. You've tried this as well, haven't you? If you like your burger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm. I still have another tin of that. I think at first, I don't know, one of the lessons I felt like I had to learn for myself in pipe smoking is me and walking around with a pipe usually doesn't end well. I don't get the good flavors out of the tobacco. And, you know, especially those burley flakes start tasting like ash rather than
yeah.
the nice nutty chocolatey
Smoking
stuff.
too fast, and you mean, or not constant?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I'm clenching it more, so I'm kind of walking and just naturally breathing through the pipe too fast. It's just so hard to control that, you know, and then I don't end up enjoying it. So I've just learned, like, don't smoke a pipe and walk, Steve. And it's some of the times when I've gotten the most bit, I haven't for a while, but where I got bit on the tongue.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean exactly. I find that, you know, those Nirvana smokes that people talk about?
Yeah.
When everything just comes together and you know that you've had that tobacco in that pipe in the same, but maybe you haven't been in the same mindset, and for some reason something's really uniquely brilliant about that. It's all the flavors are being brilliantly presented for some reason. Like, those aren't going to come when you're walking around, or I tend to smoke when I'm walking the dogs, and I really shouldn't for the same reason as you as well. But yeah, you need to sit down, you need to concentrate. It's like having a good wine. You don't just neck a bottle behind Walmart. You have to sit down with a nice.
And some blends are better for it. I don't know. I find Englishes or in the winter time are pretty forgiving that I can do that. They smoke slower.
Mm-hmm.
But that one, I think that tin, it was one of the first tins I got. So like 3 months into pipe smoking, that was a tin I got, and you're kind of working your way through it. And it was just, I need to revisit it.
Yep. I really, really am getting into my burleys, so I need to try that burley blend. And the GLP's Navigator, I haven't tried it yet. It's kind of, I do know how to order from America now very safely. I'll not go into too much detail because in case anyone gets in trouble, but that's a good thing as well. You were a fan of Squadron Leader as well for your English blends, weren't you?
It's one I have some of. I don't know if I spent enough time with it. I probably only had a handful of smokes, 5 smokes of it. Very different than a lot of the other Englishes. I don't think I fell in love as some of them where I'm like, oh, this is so good. It was good. I just didn't fall in love with it.
Have you had a Nirvana smoke recently? I think I can only say I've had it twice or maybe 3 times.
I don't know. I have some where I'm just loving it. Like this Mac Baron Golden Extra that Doza Pipes gave me.
Isn't that a cocoa topping? It's a white tin, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I have the tin. The old one.
That's it. I don't know why.
I don't think it doesn't taste like there's any topping on there. It doesn't taste like there's any sweetness added.
Okay.
But
oh, sorry, go on.
It's really good. So this tin's aged 15 years, I guess. I didn't verify that myself, but the last recording that I botched when I was smoking, and I kept having to pause what I was saying in my video to enjoy it because it was so good. So
There you go.
I guess Tuesday was the last time I had Nirvana smoked.
There's the McBaron, the Golden Extra, and Symphony. They don't. It's not in the UK market anymore. I don't know why. Just for the US.
Well, I think the Amphora Burley is very similar, or the H&H Burley Flake or whatever, the McBaron H&H line Burley. I can't remember. It tastes pretty similar too.
Yeah. Good tobaccos. The old Dark Fire, the HH line is good. I'm trying to work my way through them as well. Have you ever tried your hand at making pipes then?
No. I have one pipe that I've been working on.
Looks nice.
This was a block that Sea Smoke Pipes gave me.
Okay, yeah.
And it's just a lot of work. And so I was working on it a fair amount, and then I kind of set it down the last couple of months. I'll return to it at some point.
Are you using all hand tools?
No, but I'm to the point more where it makes sense to be using all hand point tools. But I had a bandsaw that's broke now that I trimmed it up a little bit, and then the rest was just a sander, a round sander on the end of my drill.
Okay.
That I use. But now it's more, we'll see if I end up going back to that round sander. But I need a driller you can control the speed of the sand, or because it just goes too fast, and you make more mistakes than you fix.
There's a store in the UK called IKEA or Lidl. You don't have it in the States, but it's like Walmart, and there's an aisle in the middle of most of these stores that you will never know what the hell's going to be in it from one week to the next.
Okay.
It's like, well, you have a rough idea. Say in the winter it'll be skiing outfits and skis and stuff, and it's always pretty good value. It's and not entirely bad, stuff. It'll do the job it's intended for. And recently in the magical aisle, they had a lathe for $69.99, which is probably $100. So I'm thinking maybe I should buy it, because if it does what it says it should do, and it looks good. I haven't looked at any reviews yet, but a lathe for $100, that's brilliant, I think.
Yeah. I think we have some that are around that price. I think where the tricky part with some of those is whether or not you can variable speed them and do some of those features. But here we have Craigslist. You guys do Craigslist?
Yeah.
Or something similar?
Yep.
And you can find old lathes and tools pretty easily that are pretty good price, and you can get something a little bit better. But my shop is my garage, and in the winter I want to park my cars in there, so I'm limited in my space. So I haven't jumped on the lathe because I can't justify it.
Yeah.
Except for pipe making, which I don't know if I want to do. And I have so many other projects to work on that probably like years down the road, maybe I'll try to tackle a lathe.
Are you a jack of all trades?
I don't know. I think I grew up just in a do-it-yourself family, so I think, in the course of living in a house me and my wife have been in a house for like 10 years now. I've I've paid for like 2 different jobs done. Someone to put on some gutters because it was so cheap versus me doing it, and then insurance replaced my roof this year. So
Wow.
otherwise, I just do everything yourself. Like I've remodeled our house, I finished my basement, do all that stuff. So
That's admirable. I would love to be like that, but I am not. I don't think it's my father's fault. He is quite hands-on and he's good with tools. I was just too busy being a little dickhead when I was a teenager, and instead of, asking him to pass his knowledge on to me. So I am absolutely useless. I couldn't put up a shelf. Seriously, though, I'm not bad. And the Wi-Fi
well,
is pretty good.
it's tough learning some of that stuff. I think there was early on, and I was replacing our front door, and I wasn't doing a professional job. I'm not a professional. And I think my wife, her dad was a contractor, built houses for a living. So
Right.
she's over there looking at my work, critiquing it, and being like, this isn't very good. My dad would do a better job than this. And I just said, if you want to have me ever do jobs in the future, you can't come over and criticize it, because I just don't want to do it then.
Does the door close? Yeah, does it keep the air out?
So it was kind of like that realization that, okay, I see what you're saying, and some of it was, learning to slow down and fix your mistakes rather than just be like, I'm so frustrated. We're just living with that mistake now.
Yeah. It's good to be able to do that, though. It really is. So maybe pipes when you're 50 or 60 then.
Maybe. We'll see.
Are you thinking on these other projects that you're talking about, are you thinking of inventing a board game?
No, I've never had the desire to design board games. I'm real into playing them and playing new games, and like I'll even go to conventions where they're just all showing off their new games, and go out there and play them, and I'll do that all by myself, just for days straight, just playing games. But no, not designing my own. That's just too much work.
Were you ever into Risk?
Not so much. I mean, I played it.
Yeah,
but
it can go on for a while. Have you heard of it's relatively new, Gloomhaven?
Yep.
Yeah, you played it?
I demoed it at one of the conventions before it came out.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's a cool game. It's really got a big following, but it's a beast to tackle. Like it's kind of like scenarios where you go in and you play a scenario, and there's like 100 in the game. So like you're playing a campaign through the game, and I don't have a group of people where you would be able to sit there and play through a campaign like that. Maybe if my wife played games, it would be a good fit, because you could just, play through it. But
yeah, you need to find someone with similar interests. My wife is obsessed with WoW, especially at the minute. WoW, World of Warcraft. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But, you into it?
Back when it came out, I was, and then like later, 4 years later, I got back into it. And that's when I got my wife addicted to that game. We were newly married, and she didn't have a job and I did. So I was going off to work, and she was stuck in an apartment with really not in her hometown with nothing to do. And I still had this World of Warcraft account. For people who don't know, you have to pay monthly to play. So I was like, you might as well just play when I'm gone, She's like, no, I don't. She doesn't play video games. I'm not going to play. Well, one day I came back from work, And she's like, guess what? I was like, what? I killed a spider, or no, I ran into a spider. And I was just like, and it was terrifying. I was like, oh, you played? She was like, yes, I'm not playing that game anymore because it's too scary. And then the next day I come back home and she's like, I killed the spider. I was like, oh. And then she was kind of hooked from there.
Right. It served its purpose for that apartment and while you were
Yeah. Yeah, she had a lot of fun with them.
now there's a new expansion. It was out the start of November. I know it was the end of November, so she isn't exactly glued to the Mac, but yeah, she's close to being glued to it when she isn't working anyway.
Yeah, I played it when they came back to the classic.
Mm-hmm.
So you could go back to the classic. And eventually I was like, I'm wasting way too much time with this. I do not have time for this.
Mm-hmm.
Give that up. That was right before I kind of started investing in the YTPC.
On the YTPC, I was watching Aussie E Piper. And he's talking about Australian dollar prices of tobacco now. Jesus Christ. Like, what? Does it vary in the States of America? Is it state by state? Is Wisconsin prices different? Yeah,
it's pretty varied, but even in the shops, like in my state, it just varies. Like I went into my local tobacconist and I paid for this tin that would be $10 online, and it was $25 in the shop. Then I go to another one, right? Like when you switch state borders going into Minnesota, they have higher tobacco taxes.
Okay.
So there's several tobacco shops right before you get into Minnesota where people can cross the border, buy their tobacco, and go back over.
It's like a duty-free airport on your way to...
Kind of, yeah. Because they're real close to the Twin Cities, which is a really big city. And a lot of theirs were just normal price, $12, $15 a tin. So it's just kind of like, I know it's not tax, because I've read the tax laws. I know that it's not $25 for taxes. But yeah, I think California's like the worst for the taxes, but nothing's comparative to Australia. I think I just saw it on Reddit where someone said it was over 1,800 Australian dollars for 1 kilo of tobacco in tax.
What? Yeah, like he was saying when like even before it was really bad, when he made the decision to just smoke the e-liquid in the e-pipe, it was literally a decision of what will I spend this money on tobacco or putting my daughter through her education.
Yeah,
because it's going to cost the same, which one? Hard decision, but yeah, he's a good guy. I really feel sorry for those guys. I didn't realize just how bad it was. Us, when I say us, I mean in the north of Ireland, we're part of the UK, so we're lucky for us, we get the UK prices, which is still really expensive, but in the south of Ireland, it's really quite more expensive again, probably about 25 to 30% more than the UK.
Oof.
For 50 grams of tobacco, a 50-gram tin would be £15, £14.50 or so at the minute, which is $20 basically, I guess. What's that? You guys are about, I've seen some places like $7 for 50 grams, or maybe 2 ounces or something. $9.
It depends. I'd say online, anything tinned is going to be around $10 to $16, depending on the type.
Right.
The sales you can find it lower, but it really depends on the tobacco. Okay.
But yeah, it's strange. So we don't notice when a tobacco is cheap because it's usually around the same price, or when a tobacco is slightly more expensive. It's all around. It's all being taxed to oblivion anyway, you know. But yeah, feel sorry for those guys. See other things I was going to talk about. I was going to ask you some ridiculous questions,
All right.
like, let's see, like, would you rather rob a bank, get away with it, not do any prison time, keep the money, and nobody knows about it, but you had to like kill a few people in the process, maybe, or take a few hostages? Would you rather that, or not do that, but everyone thinks that you have done it? Silly question.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think I would like to be a person that wouldn't rob a bank, or maybe I robbed it, but it was
For good reason.
Another corrupt country, and it was, I'm Robin Hood, I guess I would, without just assuming it's a normal bank in my community, I'd rather just be assumed that I robbed it and I didn't.
I would go for the same. Definitely. Have you any meerschaums in your collection?
I don't. Nope.
Is that
I have some cobs.
Cobs.
Those are the Missouri meerschaums.
They're great. I love them. I have a couple. They just don't have filters. Well,
yeah, I tried to ask them about that. And I said, would you ever do a 9mm? And they're like, no, flat out. I know there's a place in Germany that mod them, and you can get them with 9mm into the cobs.
Did you?
And they're like $40, I think.
Right.
But I haven't pulled the trigger on that. I kind of, Lester with Red Coats Returns sent me some 6mm carbon filters that'll fit in a cob. So I'm just going to try those out a little bit and see if those would work just good enough that I didn't have to pursue that.
The 6mm won't fit in any of my cobs. I think some of the cobs have a smaller diameter shank, I think. Because I have little Medico 6mm that I tried to fit. But maybe I don't know. I'm not buying the right cobs. It's Missouri meerschaum, but I need to get a Country Gentleman or something that's maybe.
Oh yeah, not all of them have filtered.
Yeah.
Stems, right? Like I got the Forever stem, and none of those, even though they're filtered pipes going into it, none of them they make with the fit for a filter, the Forever stems. So I tried drilling out 2 of them, which is really hard because going from that small to large with what I'm doing. So I broke one, but the other I got to work. I was careful enough.
Use a hand drill, like an electric one, or like a hand drill?
I put it in the drill press, but I didn't use the drill press to like spin. I just spin it with my hand. That way you don't get so much, or at least at the beginning I would use the drill press because it was small enough, it didn't matter. But once you get the thinner walled, then I'd start doing it by hand.
Yeah. And are you not planning on getting any meerschaum then? Or?
Well, I have a weird self-imposed rule that I'm trying to follow as best as I can, that I won't allow myself to buy more than 2 pipes a year.
Okay.
So I haven't it hasn't reached the highest, it's the top 2 slot priority in my list of pipes. So
That's probably a very good rule to have as well. I should maybe try and enforce that.
I just figure I'm so young that if I buy pipes like crazy, I'm just going to be swimming in a bunch of pipes that I don't care about. And I want my pipes to be more special to me than that. And I didn't want to be distracted, you know, like it's really easy for me to get sucked into something. And I'm looking through eBay or, you know, bidding on stuff because it's a good deal and yada, yada, yada. When it's like, in reality, I don't need any of this.
Yeah.
And right now it's kind of like I'm devoting a lot of my funds to buying tobacco to stock up on my cellar. So, you know, sometime when the online sales potentially go away, I still have tobacco to smoke.
A boatload.
Or at least I know what I like, so I can ask a local tobacconist to carry it for me. You know, it might be super expensive, but at least I'll know that it's worth the money I'm paying rather than paying a lot of money for a tobacco you don't even know if you're gonna like.
True. What are you mostly cellaring on at the moment? What you mentioned?
Yeah, I bought a bunch of those and for 4 burley packets. I probably have 14 of those packets. I've just bought some more of that Navigator, GLP's Navigator. The opening night by C&D. I have a bunch of those Virginias. Some H&H Pure Virginia. I like that.
Nice.
Some of those other favorite blends I got I mentioned at the beginning. And then some other stuff, random stuff that I like.
You're not a big aromatic man then?
I haven't found an aromatic that is satisfying in flavor in the mouth. They all taste like I want to stop smoking this, but they smell great. So I found some that I'm like, man, I really enjoy the smell of this, but man, it doesn't taste good. So I think for me, an aromatic would have its place where I'm drinking like an alcoholic beverage while smoking, because that would kind of be what my palate's having, is that whatever I'm drinking. And then I would still get the aroma. But I generally don't let myself do that. So it's kind of, it's tough. My wife doesn't care for the smell of aromatics. She prefers non-aromatic smells. So then it's kind of like, well, if you don't like it and I don't like it, why try and make this work?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, but I don't know. John from All Briared Up just sent me a bunch more aromatics. I still have a couple more of the Codger blends that Paladin Piper sent me that I need to try. So I'll try them, see if I can find one that I like, but so far not. There's a couple I might want to mix with something else because the flavor is good enough to smell, that maybe if I mixed it with a good burley, you know, that I would get enough of the smell that it's like, oh, this is pleasant. But I haven't gotten into that whole mixing stuff yet.
Yeah, the only time I do it is with Peterson or Dunhill Nightcap. There's something about it on its own which is, I think it's just there's a little too much Latakia for me. And what I mix it with this, I believe it's the same as Sutliff in the US market, but here it's something else. But it's what is it called? American caramel coffee, and it's like a just pure black Cavendish, sticky, needs a lot of airing time. But I'll cut the nightcap up with it, about 80% nightcap and 20% that coffee caramel stuff, and it really helps. But yeah, the only aromatic-y flavors I go for now are caramelly, chocolate, nutty ones. I don't like fruity anything else. I don't really. It's too, like you say, it smells nice, but it doesn't taste like it smells. I find with at least with the nutty, chocolatey, cocoa-y, caramelly, it does. You sometimes come across in the flavor as well as the scent. So,
Do you like the Lakeland?
yeah. At first, I didn't, especially St. Bruno would be classed as a Lakeland blend, wouldn't it? The Ogden St.
I
Bruno.
think so, yeah. I haven't had that, but I think so.
It is very florally. Some people say that's like coriander as well, isn't it? Or you know the way some people really detect coriander? Like if you put a smidgen of coriander in a big pot of something, they'll be like, that is disgusting because I can taste the coriander. There's a gene for it, and some people have it. My wife's one of them anyway.
I have that for cilantro.
Right.
Cilantro tastes like skunk to me.
Okay. There you go. But
does Ireland have skunks? I can't even remember.
No.
I was going to say, I didn't think you guys had skunks. So you don't even know what that smells like?
No, not properly, no.
Well, it's bad.
Oh, really? we have foxes here, and their piss smells quite bad, and I imagine that, but probably not at all.
Yeah. When I was in Ireland, I was up late one night, and this house that we lived in had pet rabbits that they would let hop in the yard.
Okay.
And then they would put it in cages at night because these foxes would come by and kill them otherwise.
Yeah.
And it had to be like 2:00 in the morning. And I just looked out the window and I saw this creature, which your animals look so much different than our animals, but it was so long and it was so short, but it had its tails outstretched, and it had to be, at least 8 foot long with its tail straight out or whatever. And it just hopped over this stone wall that had to be 12 foot tall, like it was no big deal. And I was just like, what was that? And I think later I was like, that had to have been a fox. But man, that thing was like gray, and it was like nothing I'd ever seen before.
Yeah, you can get gray foxes. They exist too. They're very you can keep them as pets, but they do smell and they like to piss on everything. So, and you just can't train it out of them. They're too wild. Even if
Sounds like my boys.
Oh, really?
No, I'm just kidding.
They go around peeing on everything. This is my territory.
Get it in the bowl.
There's 2 of them then? What ages are they?
No, I have 3 boys. If
really?
you don't count I have 4 biological kids and 2 foster kids right now. So my oldest is the daughter, and then I have 3 sons, and then 2 foster kids at the moment.
Excellent. How did that come to be?
Which part?
Yes, no, please do explain to me how you. Well, how did you come to foster?
Yeah, just something we wanted to do. I think
that's great.
Yeah, there's a number of people that get into it because they're related to the family, so that's where they're fostering relatives. But just big need for it, and we thought we would try to help.
It's not exactly helping though. It's a massive thing, isn't it? It's really admirable. Really, really is.
Yeah. Well,
who did you they weren't like related or anything, or you didn't get them?
No. just people in our county.
That's really
The kids. Yeah, I mean, most every single situation it's just determined by the courts. These kids can't be in their current home, so we need to put them in somewhere else.
Mhm.
And so first they go to relatives, and we're like, is there any possible person related to these kids that can do it or really close to the family? And if those are all exhausted, then they kind of then start looking outside the family.
Okay. What age were they when they came to you?
1 year old and 2 weeks old.
Right. Really young then? Really
Yeah,
young.
it was a handful.
Mm. But it means you're daddy. That's it from day one. You're there's no. I'm sure if they were, a bit older. I mean, obviously, I'm talking about something I know nothing about, but I imagine it'd be a bit harder. You get a couple of 10-year-olds and having the discussion about boundaries and who's daddy and telling them to go to bed at a certain time is going to be tricky.
Yeah, I think the baby is certainly a baby. It knows nothing different. But the 1 year old it was surprising how much it knew this wasn't, my home and my family. Yeah. I'm kind of frustrated that I'm here, and that gets hard because you can't really differentiate. You kind of learn with a kid when they grow up with your family cues that, oh, they're thirsty, they're hungry, or they're just tired or whatever, and you're trying to figure that out / all the stress that kid's under. Yeah. Learning those cues, that it gets really tough. But because the way they grew up was completely different than how they are going to be in our house. And that doesn't mean, even if we have lots of cool toys, doesn't mean that that's what they would prefer. Like, I want to be at home. Like, this isn't my home. Yeah. So it's just tough for them. So hopefully soon they'll be reunited with a family, and that will work out well. So hopefully soon.
Admirable, very admirable, and an absolute handful, I'm sure. Especially with them urinating everywhere. Christ.
Yeah, it's awful.
Let's see, I'm going to load up another one. That one was starting to get a bit file.
Yeah, I'm almost to the bottom here.
Do you smoke to the bottom every time?
Pre-filters, no. I would smoke like 2/3 or 3/4, and then as soon as I get the acrid paste done, I'm not smoking through that.
Yep.
But with filters, I never hit that. I can smoke all the way down to the bottom and not have moisture build up or any of that acrid ever come. So then I'm able to smoke mostly to the end. Some blends are easier to do that than others.
Yeah.
Without relighting a million times.
That's a big part of the reason why I've started although I obviously just smoke that estate pipe that isn't filtered, but I usually smoke with a filter now. I just prefer it. Even the taste now I prefer. What have I got here? Some Gawith. Or no, this is Peter Stocky buys Kentucky Nugget. So not really what I would usually smoke, but somebody. I have to get rid of it. I can't throw it out. That would be sacrilegious.
Yeah, I did that with one tobacco, and I kind of regret it.
Does it haunt?
And now I'm kind of like, oh no, now I'm connected to all these people. Like this is someone's jam, This is someone's like, I love that tobacco.
What was it?
C&D's Autumn Evening.
Oh, the maple, isn't it? Is it a Virginia-based blend?
It's maybe it's a very highly concocted aromatic, so it's very much aromatic.
Right.
I'm not sure how much of it you can taste
Yeah.
the tobacco under that. But I know it's loved. Like, and that's why I got it, was because I had heard such great things on it.
Yeah, people love it. There's other maple, like in the UK. There's the Gawith maple twist, which sounds like it's going to be,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
completely
That's some strong stuff.
Yeah,
If I remember right.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Twist your head off.
That's an onion pipe
Yeah.
tobacco.
I think you should get a Mersenne. I really do.
Yeah, you like it?
I really do. I really do. And I really do think it gives you a truer flavor. I think nearly positive it's not psychosomatic or placebo. Nearly sure.
Well, I just bought some filters that have meerschaum
The elephant,
in the filter.
the white elephant ones, or
So I'm going to try those out and see, because I've heard that helps with some blends tasting differently, and it might be a similar thing.
Okay.
So maybe I'll get the meerschaum experience without a meerschaum.
There you go. No, I mean, they're very expensive. And you have to specify that you want the large one, you know? You have to go to someone who will make it from scratch and tell them you want it large. It's going to cost about 300 quid. This one is only about 100.
Yeah, I think that's some of, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I'm already trying to figure out what I'm going to get this next year for my 2 pipes. And I don't know. The meerschaums make me leery because I want to find a 9mm, even though, you know, they're supposed to handle the moisture really well and stuff.
This is
I don't really want to, yeah, I don't really want to take chances. And so some of that is doing all the research, and it's kind of like, we'll see. No, all in good time. I'll get one eventually.
Well, there's a lot of meerschaum carvers out there who'll make a 9mm, no problem. This one's 9mm, the German carver, Berinski. Can't recommend him enough. There's a really, really good guy out there called H. Core. I think he only operates on his Facebook and Instagram. And he only accepts bank transfer, but I know a couple of people, including Uncle Phil, who have received from him, and there has been no issue.
Nice.
The White Goddess. I just think it's a truer taste. I really do. Yeah, I assume you haven't tried a meerschaum pipe then. You haven't tried anyone else's?
No.
Yeah, I mean, you don't smoke another man's pipe. That's a thing. But
Yeah.
we're gonna have to get you one.
All in due time. All in due time.
So, tell me about your musical tastes. What are you into?
I'm not a know my bands and have a set of CDs. Wow, back in the day, you'd have CDs type person. Like, I don't listen to music on the regular.
Okay.
On the regular. And often now, I don't even have it in the car. I'd rather have silence. But if I'm listening to the radio, I really like classic rock.
Little bit of Boston. Or,
Sure. I'm like the most socially inept person when it comes to public figures and music. Like, I should know things that I don't know. I could honestly be a TV show that people would just love because I don't know anything about music. So that's why when we get on these lives and everyone starts talking about music, it's like, I have nothing to add here. Nothing. Like, I know a lot of songs because I grew up listening to classic rock a lot, but I don't know who performed them, you know, who the artist was, what song it is, any of that stuff. And frankly, I don't necessarily care. So it's not, that's part of it. But I like, you know, a lot of these songs. It's like, oh, I like that. I can sing along to that song. So classic rock. And then I listen to a lot of Christian music too.
Okay. You quite involved with your local church?
Yeah. My dad is a pastor. I kind of grew up in the church.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different denominations here. That's a little bit different than Ireland, but
Are you in one of the snake handlers sects? Yeah.
no. But I've, you know, there's a couple spots in my life's road that I kind of had to choose. And I just, it's been great for me, and I really appreciate my church. I do a lot of serving that and spending time with that, but I'm not a bigwig.
It's good for community spirit as well. When I was a young man, well, you know, about 11 or 12, my best friend's father was a pastor, and we have a denomination of church. You know what a Presbyterian is?
Yep.
Well, these guys are called Free Presbyterian, and in Ireland, it's kind of very hard line and very kind of fire, brimstone, hell. A lot of talk about the Old Testament. God is the one that they well and truly, they won't take any of the New Testament basically. So it's all very scary. And like my family, my mother was religious, but I remember when I was that age, and I was at a party with his father was the host of, and he went off on a big rant, and it really scared the hell out of me, like literally. But I have never been religious, and I think that's, even though that's such a small part of my life, I think that's what happened to me. But I kind of wish I was, if you know what I mean. Just my personality type doesn't allow me to be religious, but I kind of envy it in a way. I know that every human has a void deep within themselves, and you can fill that with many things, and most of the things that we choose to fill it with are just more of the void and useless and not just material bullshit, and it would be nice, really nice. And maybe I'm still young, I'm 35, I still have time to renounce my sins and see what happens, but I don't know.
No, I think you've hit at a real point of what makes humanity, why are people not animals,
Yeah.
And that void you talk about, I think that comes down to the core of all people. You see rich, poor, all these people, they're just trying to find purpose in life, doing anything, just feeling some void, like you said. And I think it can happen with a lot of believers too, so a lot of people are caught up in being in the system of religion and not really knowing why. You could ask them what do they believe, and they'd be like, I don't really know. I just have a lot of friends, and I come here and I know what I'm supposed to do when I get to church. But it's, from my perspective, it's all about having a relationship with God, which is a lot different than what a lot of people talk about. And it is painful to hear how other Christians just ruin that, and paint such a poor picture to, the love of God, absolutely not being loving and caring in any way to so many of the people. And it just is driving a lot of people away. But being a real Christian isn't really super easy either. It just changes, the void is filled with the love of Christ. And that doesn't mean you get to be rich and have a cush life. It's more like, no, you're going to have to suffer in the name of God, in the sense of you get to love people like the fostering, like I need to love these people and sacrifice myself so that they can be cared for, not because I'm great, or I'm no better dad than any non-Christian, necessarily. It'd be, or at work, a non-Christian could be just as good of a worker as I am. But our purpose and reason for doing it is different. And hopefully I can have hope and joy that lacks in other people,
Well, like you say, it helps you bear your responsibilities in life and have a reason to, and have a decent source of meaning. So yeah, I've been on a search for that for a while. I misspent a lot of my life, my younger years, very, in a bad way. I had quite a bit of fun doing it for the first while, but yeah, it's left me with a lot of soul searching now, and as I'm approaching middle age, and a lot of guilt. I have a lot of guilt, so that's another thing. But one day at a time, you work at it. Maybe I'll find religion one day.
Well,
smoke a pipe in the meantime.
Yeah, it's worth thinking about over a pipe.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of the community YTPC are religious.
Yeah, I thought that was bizarre.
Yeah, even Padre Piper as well, like actually smoking in his dog collar. Amazing.
Yeah, and I can see that there's like tension. Like my wife was saying on the comments of my videos, there's almost always someone who's saying, I wish my wife supported me in my pipe smoking.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that makes sense. There's so many of these guys that smoke that are classic, American conservative Christian type, not in a big term, that it makes sense that there's a big part of that is very anti booze and smoking, so I guess it shouldn't come to a huge surprise that there's a lot of conflict with different individuals. Is your wife okay with you smoking? Does she care?
No, she doesn't mind at all. No, her father's a big cigar smoker. Yeah, Steph, she used to, she wasn't a cigarette smoker. She would just smoke when she was with friends or drinking. She's not a big drinker either. We met about 8 years, 8.5 or so years ago, and we've been married for 3 years. And yeah, she never really worried about that. More about the alcohol and all that, but I don't drink anymore. She helped.
Yeah, I think you talked about that in your other. Was that with Sean? No.
Yes. Yeah.
No. Or what? Okay. Was it?
Maybe a bit of both. I thought it was with Sean.
Okay.
Mm. Drank too much, couldn't handle it, never could keep it at 1 or 2, always drunk, waking up in the morning, hungover, drinking. And all the while I was holding down a job somehow as well. I was working in bars for most of it, so it was very easy. But
Yeah, I was pretty different. I like grew up, no alcohol in my home. My parents don't drink. But at school, the kids would say the culture was very drink forward.
yeah,
I grew up in a very small community, like 250 people in my whole high school. So it was very close.
it's very small.
And a lot of the ways the kids socialized was through alcohol, illegally. And I just didn't want to break the law. Like, that was just not interesting to me. And it was especially firm that when I had other kids come up and be like, oh, you guys, me and my friend who didn't do any of that stuff either, said, you guys are really cool. We'd be friends with you guys if you drank, but you won't get drunk with us. So we're not going to be your friends. And it's like, yeah, I guess that's how it goes. And so it really put me off the alcohol completely for that socialization aspect. It wasn't until I was about 25 or 26 that I had my first beer, and I was like, oh, this stuff is really good. I really like this. And so now I drink beer now, but for up until 25, I'd never had an alcoholic drink.
There you
Which
go.
it was the right thing for me, I'm no regrets there.
Yeah. You'll probably live to be 90, 100 maybe. Well.
I don't know about that, but
Mm-hmm. We, as a family, used to celebrate Easter every year by going with our extended family, uncles and, well, they weren't even family. You know the way when you grow up and your dad's friend is called Uncle whatever, and Auntie, yeah. All those folks. So every Easter we would go to the west coast of Ireland in Donegal and rent a big house that used to be a rectory, like where the pastor would live or the minister would live. So, like 10 or 15 bedrooms in the house. And every year there was this old man called Connie. Constance, I think his real name was, but Connie. And he was a landowner, pretty big landowner of Donegal, and a complete alcoholic. But he lived to be like 98 or something ridiculous. But because he only drank the real top quality premium spirits, and never, the odd beer and stuff, but all the cheap stuff he avoided completely. And everyone says that's why he lived to be the age he was.
Well, I drink some cheap stuff now. Not the super cheap. I don't know. Here you just have craft beer is becoming such a big thing.
It is, yeah. Here too. Yeah.
And I like it, but I never smashed my younger years with this cheap junk beer. So like some of them, it's like, man, I can open a Budweiser. I don't like light beer, but I can open regular Budweiser and I really enjoy it. I love drinking, some of those they're like 50 cents a can here, just super, super cheap, but it's still good. I just don't have the bad memories tied to it.
Do you like Guinness? Have to ask. Can you even get it properly?
Oh yeah. It's pretty popular. Like every single gas station will have Guinness and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty big brand here. Yeah, I like it. I think I found some local styles of it that I like better.
Okay.
But I like it. I like the nitro, like stouts and stuff.
I've never heard of that. Nitro stout sounds interesting. Was it nitro?
I think that's what Guinness is a nitro stout.
Oh, really? Different. It's a term I've never heard.
You know, where you pour it and it kind of does that whole like uh, build up, but then it doesn't have a real fizziness to it when you drink it. They're flatter beers.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't know that's what that was. Every day is a school day.
I could be wrong. I'm not an expert at the Guinness beers, but I'm pretty sure that that's what it is.
You ever tried brewing your own?
No, and I started thinking about it. My wife was like, "You cannot have another hobby, Steve. We are not." I'm like, "That's fair. It's fair. I'll just buy other people's beer. That's fine." Because we're in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin's like a beer culture. So like, in other churches I've been to, like it'd be most people don't drink alcohol, you know, type thing. But up here, even like the people who don't normally drink alcohol are like, yeah, I'll have a beer, you know, type thing. And a lot of socializing around beer, and the prices for beer are cheaper here than like a lot of places where like I can get 32 16-ounce cans of Budweiser. So that's a pint, 32 pints for like $18 here, which is just,
that's insane.
It's really cheap. And other places you go, like it'd be like, well, that's at least $25 somewhere else. So just in general, it's just a real big part of the culture in Wisconsin here.
There's no need to brew your own then?
No need, but it sounds interesting. Yep. I'm just keeping my distance.
Your wife's shopping list. Why? We don't need this much sugar. And what's this yeast? We don't need this.
Well, that's one of the ways we socialize is around alcohol. Like she really enjoys beer and whiskey. So like it's a fun way for us. We go to a lot of local breweries and just hang out. Like that's how we do our dates. Is just go around, try some different beers. And that's where we've met some friends. You just show up at a brewery enough, you'll find the people that keep showing up, and they're your new friends.
There you go. A young woman that drinks whiskey, does she mix it with a little water, or does she bastardize it with Coca-Cola?
Nope. She would be very disappointed if someone did that to her whiskey.
That's good.
Yeah, she likes the cocktails though, but they're all very strong. Like we'll give it to our friends, and people will be like, you know, like this is really strong, and be like, you got to taste the whiskey.
Old fashioned.
Yeah, like old fashions and mint juleps and all kinds of stuff. That's like her hobby, is trying that stuff out. She likes that. I'm more of a beer guy. Like I would rather, like I love those cocktails. Like I think they taste delicious that she makes. But man, I just drink it in 2 gulps and then I'm like, now what? So I just find I get drunk if I start drinking cocktails.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. You'll have to, if you ever come back to Ireland, bring you to the Bushmills distillery. It's okay. Some days they have a tasting menu. You can try the whiskey at all the different stages. So it tastes absolutely, it's clear and tastes horrible. And then gradually by the end of the tour, you get the 16-year green label or whatever it is.
And that we went to the Guinness brewery when we were here.
James is good.
That was fun. I don't know. We saw so much in Ireland because we were kind of like, our college did like a mini group of people there. So I didn't go to like an Irish college. It was just like 32 students from my college doing like remote schooling, almost kind of a hybrid there. So we would do like 2 weeks of class and then for a week we go travel Ireland, and then do 2 more weeks of class, and then go travel Ireland. So like I saw Northern Ireland, you know, like I saw like all the things to see in Ireland, as far as sites and different stuff. I don't know all the names, but like when you're like, oh, Donegal, I was like, yeah, I know, I've been there. You know, like a lot of these places, like I probably knew more about or seen, visited more about Ireland in that 1 year than, you know, maybe 25% of Irish people being like, I've never been to those places, and be like, well, we did because, you know, our school took us there.
How long were you studying in that college then, or how long were you in Ireland?
A semester. So it would have been late January to, I think it would have been early May.
Mm-hmm. Did you go to the Giant's Causeway?
Yep. Yes, sir.
I suppose you have to. And there's a rope bridge near there, the Carrick-Carree rope bridge.
Yeah.
The Cliffs of Moher.
Yep.
You remember that?
Yep, I can. We got in trouble there because they have like ropes to keep you from the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And our bus driver was this old rugby player that was so cavalier, you know, just going on the other side of the ropes, standing there and looking or whatever. And kids were doing that too. And our supervisor, because we had supervisor people from America, she was just freaking out because I think 3 years prior to us going, a kid died by falling off a cliff.
Oh, Jesus.
Just not there, but a different place, because they were just walking. And some of those places is really confusing. You don't realize you're right next to an edge, just because of the way it is. And they just walked right off and died. And so she was just a mess, a basket case, being like, we are not having any kids die here.
Not on
so
my
I remember that very specifically.
Poor woman. She was thinking of her insurance.
Well, she cared a lot about us, but what's that other island that has these awesome cliffs? There's no cars on that island. You like ferry out to it, and then we have bicycles and stuff, and they had some awesome cliffs. I can't remember what it was.
I think I know it's off the coast of Donegal, I think, and Killybegs. I think the island is called Lusty Beg.
That doesn't ring a bell, but maybe it was.
Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, dear. Yes, you've probably seen more of Ireland than I have then, yeah.
Oh, I probably have. And all our classes were about Irish. History, culture. Like I learned how to do the dance, the little jig. I learned that, you know, Irish dancing, traditional Irish dancing is actually really quiet because you didn't want the soldiers to hear that you were dancing against the rules. So you would do it barefooted and quiet. You know, this whole like the river dancing is not really traditional Irish dancing. That's showy. Stuff like that. And we learned the baron, the drum, you know, whatever, you know, and we did all that stuff. Yeah. You guys have a very sad past.
Well,
and we learned about all of that. We read your literature, and you know, everything was like, well, what does this poem mean? It's like they're sad. The Irish people are still sad.
Usually,
it's just horrible. And how the potato famine wasn't a famine. You know, we just ran out of potatoes. There was still food, but they wouldn't give us the food. It was a massacre. You know, and you know, we learned all about all that.
Yeah, a lot of people will agree with you there. They, like a lot of countries, we had a hard time with England. There's a few other countries that had a hard time, including yourselves in the 1700s. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that it was quite different, considering much of us was English, fighting English. Yeah, there's a number of board games that are dealing with that. There's this, I forget who it is, but he does these bizarre board games that are very niche. They're very complicated, but he takes really tough subjects. And one was about being over in Asia, where Britain was, and how the British would use the local population and try to use drugs to sedate the local population to make themselves wealthy. And you're trying to buy these upgrades to your palaces back in UK with this money that you're extorting from these local people and controlling them through cocaine and other drugs. It's just kind of some people get pretty mad at that, and it's history. It's good to know it and learn about it and learn from it.
Yep. Those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it.
And sometimes you can't always learn from it. I feel sometimes it's a storybook of the future. We kind of get in our cycles and ruts.
This is true. There's a famous Irish singer-songwriter called Paul Brady, who has a wonderful line in a song called The Island, which is simply about the Troubles. He grew up in Strabane, which was a border town on the border between Donegal and Enniskillen, which is the Northern Irish side. And so he saw some horrible, mad things when he was growing up. But this line in the song says basically, when are we going to stop trying to carve out our tomorrows from the tombstones of before? So I think that's quite poignantly put in what you said. The past sometimes seems like a cycle that we can't get out of, and we just repeat ourselves. But yeah. Ireland's not that bad. Certainly, since the 90s, there hasn't been any major things anyway.
Well, it was still eye-opening. The scars, essentially. Going to Northern Ireland was tough. I'm drawing a blank. What's the main city? Belfast. Going through that and doing a tour, and seeing a fence that goes up, 40, 60 feet in the air to separate these areas. And then you just see cameras all over the place, just cameras. And then the graffiti, which is just sad graffiti, and then you go to the museums and you see the sharpened rubber bullets. So they got points on them that they're shooting each other with. And then I remember a playground, and they're like, oh, this is brand new. This playground's brand new. And it was a little playground with chain link fence and barbed coils around it. And it's this is new. And it's this is where we're at now. We finally feel safe enough in these communities to have a playground for our kids. But this is what it looks like to have a safe enough, area for kids to be playing in a playground. It was really sad, and you just wanted to keep moving in that direction of progress. But it's very complicated.
And there are still a generation of people, unfortunately, who are bringing up their children to fear and vilify the other religion, but the communities are still there, but it isn't nationwide anymore.
Right. Yeah. You get a very much different feel outside of that city, but that city, you very definitely felt it, yeah, I don't know.
There's a good future for us.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I hope so for you guys as well. All this identity politics that's going on these days, it doesn't resort in all-out race war soon. I hope not. I know nothing about it, obviously, but I wish everyone would just get along.
It's a slow process, you know. It's no different than Belfast. People are grown up hating someone that they don't know why, you know, and it takes a really long time to change that because, you know, what reason does someone have to change their mind?
Yeah.
You know, it would be someone caring for them. Well, that's never going to happen because they resist anybody caring for them and whatever else. I don't know. But it's constantly improving, just not fast enough sometimes.
Yeah. You just want to shake some people, but it's hard. We've gotten very deep, haven't we, Stephen?
I know, I'm sorry. I'm going to be known for that with my conversations. That yardism one, I felt bad. I was like, no one's going to want to watch this. We were deep in the weeds, not about pipe smoking.
No, I think this is what people will want. It's good. But listen, I think we've gone well over. We'll cut it here, shall we? Just want to ask you before we stop recording, would you be interested? I'm hoping to get a Zoom with all of us at the end of
Yeah,
this.
I saw you said that. Yeah, that'd be fine if it works out.
Yeah, probably around the same time, maybe a bit later on a Saturday evening or something.
Yeah, I mean, Saturdays I'm usually pretty free earlier too. You know, that's not an issue.
Okay. Well, I'll stop the recording here. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you. And it's been wonderful. I will speak to you again soon. Thank you.
You have a wonderful channel. Thank you for having me.
Not at all.